Alright, let's start up the old 350 and take it for a spin. See how much gas we have left in here. Yeah, we got some carb tuning to do. Anyway, this is a test of my Sony ActionCam AS30V mounted to my helmet with some 3M dual lock, soldered together with a modified case, and modified case with an old hands-free microphone taped on the inside of my helmet. And despite how hacked together the setup actually looks, it actually works pretty well. The microphone picks up pretty much everything that I say. My voice is, as you can hear, relatively clear. You can hear a little bit of the bike's exhaust. You don't hear too much of the wind. It's just a really nice combination, and the best part about it was that it was really just cheap. I mean, the camera wasn't cheap, that was expensive. The bike wasn't cheap, but, well, I mean, as far as bikes go, it was actually pretty cheap because it's 40 years old. But, works pretty well. Anyway, as you can hear, this is definitely not a stock CB350. It is a modified, not that much. Modified exhaust. We got velocity stacks on the carbs that I actually need to replace with some regular old air filters because just want to keep the air going in the engine just a little bit cleaner than having velocity stacks with only screens on there. Even though I'm not riding through a pollution dense area, it's still probably a good idea to have some better air filters on there than this. But I mean, I think it looks pretty cool, and that's really all that matters with this bike, because it's definitely not the kind of bike where you twist and rip your arms off. I mean, it's by no means a speed demon. Hopefully this guy is actually going to turn with his blinker. Anyway, so last year, before the winter came, I finished up the exhaust system on this, and I say system in order to sound, I don't know, cooler than it really is. It's just it's the first exhaust that I've ever built and welded myself, and it was a good learning experience. Definitely not a performance type system, and may even be worse than, it's a 2-in-1. May even be worse than a 2-in-2, but it does look kind of cool, I think. Anyway, it fits the design idea that I had in my head in terms of how I wanted it to look. I'm using a Norton style muffler. As you can hear, is extremely loud. This particular muffler, oh man, those are old tracks. This particular muffler actually doesn't have a baffle that you can change out like most aftermarket mufflers. You can't pack any more fiberglass in there. You just kind of let it go. So I did build an internal baffle for it out of a pipe and some drilled holes and stuff, and it works really well to muffle the sound. It actually gives it a nice refined sort of soft growl versus what it has right now, which is a loud kind of rattling, resonating, guttural type of growl. Kind of unrefined sound for a Honda. Anyway, did that and stuck it in there, and it sounds good, but unfortunately, anytime you make any sort of adjustments with the carburetor intake with these old Hondas, you have to totally rejet everything and test it out. And honestly, after rebuilding the engine, I just don't feel real great about testing out the carb settings by letting it rip wide open throttle and stuff to read the plugs. So I kind of wanted to break it in a little bit. But even at this, after I took the baffle out, it runs okay, but the carbs are still, I believe, running a little rich. I have okay mid power, but where the power really should be picking up at the higher RPMs is just not happening. So it's definitely not running as well as it probably could. And I'm hoping to God that that's a carb problem. I like working on these bikes, but man, tearing this engine apart is just something I don't want to have to do again. Not that it's complicated or anything, it's just, I repainted the frame, and that's something I would suggest is if you are going to restore an old bike and totally tear it down and repaint the frames and everything, I thought, I'd save money by doing it myself, using a rattle can, trying to be as careful as possible with the prep and everything. And you can make it work. It certainly does work. Is it as durable as factory? Not even close. The rattle can paint, it's you can get 2-part rattle can paint. I know you can, and I haven't honestly used it, so I can't say how tough that stuff is. But the paint that I used on this was a duplicolor paint, black, a primer, and I did everything right, read the temperature, prepped everything absolutely spotless, followed all the directions, and it's still, it still will scratch if you take the engine the engine in and taking it out. Even if you tape the crap out of everything, it's still going to it's not as durable as the original paint was. So if you are going to restore a bike, I highly suggest spend the money. I was quoted around $500 to have the frame, swing arm, and parts powder coated. I thought, oh my God, $500. That was at the time when I bought the bike, I paid like $400 for this bike, and I was like, I can't really spend $500 on just painting it. And I really wish I would have, and still might. It would be worth it to have it just gives it a much more professional finished look, and that's the idea when modifying this bike, is to try to make it look as professional and factory-like as possible in terms of fit and finish. Yeah, this bike is loud. I feel kind of bad driving it around right now just because, I'm sure when people, look around, they hear the sound of the, the 170 degree parallel twin, and they're assuming that it's a huge displacement, you know, Harley or something driving by, and it's nope, it's in fact a 325cc 40-year-old Honda. But I suppose at times the exhaust system, this bike is small. I am a I'm a tall person. I'm 6'3", so this bike looks ridiculously absurdly small when I ride it, I'm sure. Although I haven't seen a picture of myself riding it or anything. It is loud, so that means that people often hear me before they see me, so people expect to see a motorcycle somewhere, which may not in fact be a bad thing, I suppose. But I don't think it needs to be this loud. Yep, people definitely turn around way before I'm even close to them. Kind of interesting resonances when I drive this thing at certain RPMs or certain throttle positions. The exhaust is much louder and more raspy or resonate-y than at others. Get across this intersection here. There's nobody behind me, thankfully. Anyway, that's my short little video on how this little ActionCam works mounted to my helmet. Hope you enjoy.